on, guys? I hope you're having an awesome day. As many of you know, I have owned this Mclaren 600Lt for the past month and have absolutely fallen in love with it. Its mix of looks, driving dynamics, and excitement make it my favorite car for the money. Well, I could go on and on about thousands of things literally that I love about this car, and I will go into more detail in the full review of the 600Lt that is upcoming. I wanted to go over 5 things I absolutely love about the 600Lt. First up on the list is this right here, the optional Mclaren Special Operations roof scoop that completely changes the look, feel, and sound of the Mclaren 600Lt. Now, the majority of 600Lt buyers actually didn't order the car with the roof scoop, and that is because it is extraordinarily expensive. The roof scoop alone is $30,389, but the crazy part is you can't order the roof scoop unless you also order the carbon fiber roof, cantrells, track telemetry package, and full Alcantara interior, which is ticked off by the $30,000 MSO Club Sport Pro package. So altogether, to get the roof scoop, it'll cost you $60,000, but I'm telling you, it is worth every penny, and here's why. So why do I love it so much? Well, of course, first off is the looks. You can't deny that it looks extraordinarily cool, and it actually puts the 600Lt into an exclusive group of cars that actually have roof snorkels. Now, on the P1 and the 675LT, we had a much more subtly integrated roof scoop that was kind of embedded in the roof itself, whereas the 600Lt, it's basically a roof snorkel. In fact, if you look really closely at it, it doesn't actually come in contact with the roof towards the end of the scoop, very much like the design of the Mclaren Special Operations MSO-X. It also is very similar to incredibly special hypercars like the Pagani Zonda and the CLK GTR, putting this car in a category of hypercars, essentially. Of course, this is not a hypercar, but damn, does that look incredible. Lots of people have actually come up to me in person and asked if the car is a McLaren P1. Obviously, it's not a McLaren P1, but the roof scoop does make a big difference, and honestly, if you haven't ordered your 600Lt coupe yet, make sure to get it with a roof scoop. But my favorite part about the roof scoop isn't the looks, it's actually the sound it makes. Let me show you. Sure, the roof snorkel looks cool and allows for more airflow into the engine, but they did something very unique with the 600Lt that makes the car sound incredible, and that is channel the roof scoop airflow into the cabin. That's right, it goes from up here through the cabin, then splits into these 2 arms and into the engine bay. This creates an incredibly unique interior sound experience that honestly sounds very similar to Darth Vader taking an enormous breath. Even when you're traveling at normal speeds, if you put your hand up here, you can feel the wind traveling through this piping, but when you step on the gas and let off, it makes this enormous whooshing sound that just is unparalleled. Now, the Mclaren 600Lt V8 sounds good. McLaren V8s sound good, but the roof scoop adds this extra element of noise and drama that takes things to the next level. But enough of me actually talking about it. Why don't we get some clips of sounds of that roof scoop? Let's hit it. The great part about the roof scoop noises is they happen no matter if you're driving full tilt on the track or you're just driving around town. And they happen when you're accelerating and when you're letting off the gas. So let's get some roof scoop noises going without me talking, shall we? So when you first step on the gas, let me get around this turn, you can hear the boost build up in the turbos and all of the airflow right above your head, and it is the most intoxicating noise. So here we go on the acceleration. And then when I let off the gas, you hear that? Oh my God, that's awesome. performance bucket seats of any production car of all time. They hold you in place like nobody's business. They're extremely comfortable and they look absolutely badass. They come straight from the McLaren Senna hypercar and are plopped into the significantly more affordable 600LT when you get the upgraded seats in the Club Sport Pro package. They actually use this technology called carbon fiber shell technology that allows the seats themselves to be hollow inside. So while it looks like one thick piece of carbon fiber, it's actually really thin pieces of carbon fiber with air in the middle to make them even lighter. Instead of using a massive piece of leather or one giant sheet of Alcantara, it's actually made up of 7 different individual pads with gaps between them to make them lighter still. These seats actually make the 600LT 54 pounds lighter than the normal 600LT seats. They are only manually adjustable. They only go forwards and backwards, but the seat position and angle is absolutely perfect. They actually come in 2 different sizes, which is nice, normal and touring. I needed the bigger seats because my shoulders are a bit wide. I'm very thankful I got the slightly larger seats, but they're absolutely awesome. So when you're performance driving, they hold you in place better than any seat I've ever experienced. The bolstering near your legs and your hips holds that position of your body in place. And then up here, you've got these massive, massive shoulder pads that hold the upper portion of your body in place as well. And like I said, it's the perfect tilt. So where you feel comfortable while performance driving, and then you also feel comfortable when you're not driving very, very quickly. Another really cool part about these carbon fiber bucket seats is they come with slots in them from the factory right there for a racing harness. And you can, from the factory, order the optional harness bar in the back, which I have with a 6-point racing harness. Once you put on the harness, you are glued into the seat. You don't move whatsoever when you're flying around turns. The perfect setup for the racetrack. Now, technically, you're not supposed to drive them with these harnesses on the road. That's why I'm driving a little bit slower, because if you were to crash, since I'm not wearing a Hans device below a helmet, there's a lot of pressure on your neck because these don't give whatsoever like normal seat belts do. But man, these are awesome. However, the #1 best thing about these seats, which you would not expect, and I was a little bit nervous actually when I ordered the car from the factory. I wanted them because they looked so much cooler than the standard seats. They saved weight, and I liked the idea of having a harness bar with a 6-point harness, but I was really nervous that they wouldn't be comfortable. Well, it turns out that couldn't be farther from the truth. Despite the fact that they look like they don't have a lot of padding, which they don't, and they're not very adjustable, they're actually very, very comfortable. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. I've had a ton of friends in the car, and they've all been absolutely shocked that it's a comfortable seat. That's because they're formed to your body so nicely. They must have spent so many hours of research making sure that the seats contour to the average person's body, because everyone who sat in here from 5'2" to 6'5" has felt comfortable. You don't need all that padding if the seats contour to your body perfectly well. I've done road trips upwards of 2 to 3 hours in these seats that normally, even in my Huracan comfort seats, that's about the extent of what my back can withstand, because I actually do have some back problems from a snowboard injury a long time ago and repetitive stress from golf. But these seats over long road trips are super, super comfortable. So they've got the performance aspect, and they've got the comfort aspect, and they've got the lightweight aspect, and they look cool. What more could you ask from seats? The next thing I absolutely love about the 600LT is its handling. It is absolutely sublime in every single way, from the steering feel to the performance of the brakes to the suspension setup, the liveliness of the throttle response, the brake feel, the throttle feel. It is truly a remarkable car to drive, and in my opinion, the absolute best handling, most fun car to drive for the money. And honestly, in some ways, the most fun car to drive at any price point. All right, so what makes the 600LT so good to drive? Well, for one, it's got the suspension off of the Mclaren 720S on a much lighter car. This thing only weighs 2,850 pounds. It's over 250 pounds lighter than a Porsche GT2 RS. So the suspension setup is from the 720S, which costs a lot more than the 600LT. We've got 13% stiffer springs in the front, 14% stiffer springs in the rear than the 570S. We've also got the brakes off of the Mclaren 720S for better stopping. That means it's able to stop from 124 miles an hour in just 15 feet longer than the McLaren P1. And let me remind you, the automotive brakes off of the McLaren P1, just the brakes alone cost 1/3 of the price of a 600LT. Just think about that for a moment. We've also got the brake booster that's inspired from the McLaren Senna. This thing stops like no tomorrow. Let's do a little test stop, shall we? Oh my God, that is absolutely epic. The steering rack has been quickened from the 570S as well, providing phenomenal amounts of feedback, and it is the perfect weight. It just feels so nice. The seating position is also fantastic. You feel right kind of on top of the car with this visibility that is kind of unrivaled. The hood slopes down really aggressively in front of you, so you don't see the hood whatsoever. You just see the road in front of you, and it inspires this level of confidence that is just unbelievable. Like I said, the throttle response is very linear for a twin turbocharged car. The brakes are fantastic. The suspension setup rides really well over bumps, but provides no body roll whatsoever, and overall it just results in this incredible package. Now the level of grip that you get in the 600LT is amazing as well, especially considering the fact that it is rear wheel drive and only has 285 section tires in the rear. They are Pirelli Trofeo R tires that take a little bit to warm up, but once they are warm, they are stickier than anything. Oh my God, this thing is so much fun. And the confidence it inspires is truly epic. Oh my God, I cannot wait to take it out on the track for the first time. And honestly, while it handles really well, the most important thing is that it is a downright blast to drive. It's simply fun, like stupid fun. Talking to a lot of McLaren test drivers, well, the McLaren Senna, of course, is a better, faster car. I mean, it needs to be because it's more expensive by a significant margin. A lot of people actually prefer the driving experience of the 600LT, and I'm right there with them, because you need to be so good. You need to be so good to handle all of the power and performance of the Senna, and you really need to be on a track to experience that this car feels a little bit more playful, and you feel like you can get the extent of the performance. I mean, I can't fully experience the extent of the performance of this car because I'm not a professional driver, but it feels more playful, more usable than that car because, well, it's not quite as fast. Don't get me wrong, this thing is stupid fast, but it has the perfect level of power for the chassis. And that is why the handling on this thing is a downright dream. Next up is the 600LT's Rawness. It's got stiffer engine and transmission mounts that make it feel like both the engine and transmission are bolted to your spine. It also has very minimal sound deadening, thinner windows, so you hear all of the noises outside of you, like the engine, the transmission pops, little rocks banging against the carbon fiber monocoque. It makes you feel like you're in a race car. Every single thing is communicated throughout your body, which makes the driving experience both more fun, and it also means you can get more out of the car because of the levels of feedback that the 600LT provides. Now, a lot of people ask me, why didn't I get a 720S instead of a 600LT? And the simple answer is because of the rawness of this platform. No matter how fast you're going, you feel the engine, you feel the transmission. It just feels exciting at every speed, whether you're going slow or fast. And that, to me, in my current position, is what I love in sports cars. I want something that excites me. I want something that invokes emotion. And the rawness of the 600LT is that and more. The cracks on upshifts and downshifts, and just all of the noises it makes with that roof scoop. and you kind of feel and hear the cabin vibrating in a way that the 720S doesn't. Of course, the 720S is a better GT car. It's more comfortable. The suspension is nicer over bumps. It's a lot more fast. It's a lot faster in a straight line. But this is just more fun. Oh my God, those cracks! It is just so raw. Oh. That's what I loved so much about the 675LT when I drove that for the first time. It felt refined in an aggressive manner, not in a comfortable manner. That's what I love so much about this car. And it's just, oh, downright fun to drive. Lastly is the Mclaren 600LT's exhaust. Not only the sound, but its very unique positioning and the fact that it does one other thing that we're gonna show you a compilation of. The exhaust on the 600LT has been moved from the normal positioning down here to a vertically oriented positioning up here, and that has a multitude of benefits. For one, because the exhaust isn't in the middle of the rear diffuser, that means we can have a larger uninterrupted rear diffuser for more downforce. It also means the exhaust itself is shorter. It only has to travel from the engine right here to the exhaust tip right there, meaning it is lighter. That also means it's louder, and that means that there's less distance for unburned fuel to travel, meaning that when the exhaust heats up to the right temperature, that fuel ignites in massive, massive flames. If you guys missed the video where I actually roasted marshmallows on the exhaust of the 600LT, make sure to check that out. But now I'm gonna leave you guys with this, a compilation of exhaust sounds and flames from the 600LT. It makes the craziest pops, the craziest bangs, and of course, it shoots fire, which is awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.